What's going on, y'all? Welcome to another episode of the Speak Up Sports Podcast with Cass, Chris, and Shad. What's going on, fellas?
So y'all, so
Another day close to the NFL season. We've already started to see some teams, and we will start to see some more teams as we get into the next couple days, entering training camp. We do have our first official preseason game, which is the Hall of Fame game. You know, everybody gets excited for that, even though everybody's like, I'm not watching that bullshit. But it is coming a couple weeks here at the end of the month. A lot of kind of in the down period of sports just in general. MLB obviously had their All-Star game this week. WNBA still kind of getting to the close of their season, and it seems like we're always talking about other things, but what's actually going on in the actual gameplay of the WNBA. But sticking to the theme of basketball, obviously we had something that was kind of you can kind of view it as a major signing, maybe not just based on how the player's been over the past couple of seasons, but Bradley Beal was officially brought out today by the Phoenix Suns, and is expected to sign with the Los Angeles Clippers on a 2-year deal. Something that, the tea leaves have kind of been there. The rumor mill has been there for him. And obviously Chris Paul's another name that's been rumored to end up on the Clippers. But when you got the news today, obviously it happened a few hours ago. How do you guys feel currently about what the Clippers look like in the move itself?
I mean, good for the Suns to get them off their roster, but I mean, as far as the Clippers go, I mean, it doesn't move anything for me. I still think their biggest issue is going to be, like we said earlier, with defense. But the biggest thing for them is always going to be the health of Kawhi Leonard. I mean, if he's there, he's healthy, he's playing, maybe not the best he's ever played, but a solid two-way player. I mean, they could possibly, actually make some moves and go forward. But I mean, Bradley Beal, I guess for my thing is, when you have a player like Bradley Beal, like, you talking about like somebody who needs the ball in their hand per se, and you got a lot of ball dominant players that, like, usually, they need the ball to make some stuff happen. So, I'm just wondering, like, how him and James Harden is going to mesh, along with, Kawhi still obviously need his touches and whatnot. But it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, I'm not going to say they're going to be ass nothing. I don't think the move lowers their ceiling as far as where they could be this year. But as far as a needle mover per se, I can't really say that right now anyway.
I mean, in theory, it can work. But like you said, Chris, there are deficiencies with it, man. It's it'll be interesting to see kind of how the rotations are, and of course they're rumored to get another point guard over the next few days possibly. So we'll kind of see if that comes to fruition. But honestly, I don't love the move, but I understand the Clippers had to do something. Of course, they're in that kind of weird area where they don't have their picks, of course. So there's no point of even trying to like let's go for it, pretty much. So add as many pieces as you can to help. Bradley Beal also, for his reputation, needs this to work. He's not that old. I mean, he's getting up there, but he still has a few more years in this league. So he can go either way with this. He can go there. He signed there on a 2-year, $11 million off the buyout. You can go either direction. You can keep signing, 1-2-year deals the rest of your career, or you can earn yourself another payday somewhere else or there. So it's big for Bradley Beal. We'll kind of see how he attacks it, though. But like you said, wait and see.
Yeah, and it's just weird because it's weird to me in like so many different ways. Because I mean, if you really think about it, over the past, and I know a lot of people, especially this season, have been kind of making fun of the Clippers for the Paul George trade, given how SGA has turned out. I mean, I get it; it's a hindsight 2020 thing, but everybody's making that trade. We can, knowing what we know now, everybody's still making that trade 5 years ago, whatever the time case may be. That's neither here nor there. But the Clippers have had a lot of talent, like on their roster. Not necessarily saying like the team has been like something special, but I mean, you've had Kawhi, obviously Paul George, Russ, James Harden, Lou Will at one point, Pat Bev, Norm Powell, who's a good player, obviously a 20-point per game scorer. Now you bring over John Collins, and you obviously had Zubac as well. So I mean, they've had a lot of talent, and it seems like to me it's weird because it's like you kind of just tried this in my opinion, with Russ, Paul George, James Harden, Kawhi. You try to do the superstar thing, or maybe even just let's have as many good players as we can to field a good team, because we know that we're going to have Paul George or Kawhi be hurt, whatever the case may be. James, may not be playing as well at this point, or at certain points in the season. So, like, I feel like they've already tried that, but I don't. It's weird because looking at the names, you would be like, yeah, why not? I mean, you can get Bradley Beal for cheap, thinking that he could probably still give you what he was a couple years ago before the Suns. Obviously, it wasn't as good of a fit with the Suns, and things didn't look as good, but you would imagine that you could go back and at least get 70-80% of Washington Bradley Beal and not 100% of what you got with Phoenix. But still, it still looks weird because it's like, to me, it's like we were all, not we were all, I was, and a lot of people were excited about the Clippers, especially this postseason, because we all thought Kawhi was healthy. I mean, which he was, and he played 7 games. Obviously went 7 games with the Denver Nuggets, a team that was just fired their head coach a couple weeks prior, or a couple games prior, really. You would think that would be, if you can't get past that team, and that's obviously, we saw how good Denver was. They were able to take the champs to 7 games. If you couldn't get past that team and you had a healthy Kawhi and what we all thought you had, and I was very excited about it to see what they could be. We thought James Harden might have gotten over he's never getting over the hump, but may have gotten over that playoff hump in terms of the mishaps that he have in random or the big games at least. If you didn't get it done then, I don't see how now it kind of changes things with Bradley Beal. Like, are you going to get Kawhi to be healthy, especially, maybe not throughout the entire season, but at a point at the end of the season where he was ramping up, where he was actually playing and not having to have minute restrictions and stuff like that. You got lucky this time and it didn't turn to anything. Are you going to get lucky next year? And plus an older dude, like, it just seems like, it's just weird to me. Like, okay, like, yeah, you got Bradley Beal. Not to say that he's not a good player, that they don't have good players on the team. Like, they very well could put it together, but I feel like we've been saying the Clippers could put it together for a while at this point. Really, I said 5 years, but really 6 years, because I mean, it happened, the COVID year, and we're about to go into a whole another. I mean, we're already at the end of 2025, so like, I don't know. It just. It's weird, and then I know you guys have probably seen the clips, and everybody at this point have probably seen the clips, and Kyrie and KD brought a little bit more light to it again today. But I also think back to the Mind the Game podcast with LeBron and Steve Nash, and they had KD as a guest. KD and Steve Nash kind of talking about their time in Brooklyn and how Steve didn't really get to, or he felt like he didn't really get to coach because there was so much going on around them. I kind of like, my first thought about it was like thinking back to Ty Lue. Like, we all say that Ty Lue's a good coach. Obviously, he's won a championship with the Cleveland Cavaliers, but like at this point, it seems like he's always dealing with something, whether it's injuries with Kawhi and PG, trying to figure out the Russ role when he came in midseason, trying to figure out how to make James work with 3 other All-Stars, 3 other Hall of Famers at that point, and then on top of that, get past the James Harden ineptitude when it's bound to happen in the playoffs. Now we're going to another season where you have to try to fit another quote unquote big personality. Not to say that Brad Beal is really a big personality, but a big time player into the mix with James Harden, a Hall of Famer, and Kawhi, a Hall of Famer. You're bringing in John Collins, who's another guy that's going to probably be in your starting lineup. So you have to figure out all of that. When do we ever get to see like Ty Lue just be Ty Lue and him coaching? Like, is that ever going to happen for them? And obviously he's shown that he's been able to keep them afloat through all the injuries and all the different stuff. But like, maybe it's time to move on so we can actually field a legit team and build on something. Like you mentioned, they don't have their first round picks and stuff like that. So I don't know. It's weird. It's just they are in a weird spot. Obviously, the second apron stuff, something that not everybody understands. So, how maybe if they do trade, does Kawhi or James Harden, does that really help them out? Like, there's there's that aspect of it as well. But to me, it's just weird. It's just like it's just
yeah. Weird. It is. And I mean, I see a lot of people now, they're putting the Clippers in like the top. They're a top 4 team in the West. Da, da, da. I'm like, okay, let's slow down a little bit. Slow down a little bit. I like your Ty Lue point, though, because there was even a couple years ago, like right when Russ got there that season, when he got there mid-season, there were rumblings like, is Ty Lue going to stay here? Is Ty Lue going to stay here? Like, is he going to put up with this? Or how are him and Lawrence Frank? Are they on the same page? And the fact that Lawrence Frank, he's adding all these players, it kind of makes me seem like they're not. Because I highly doubt that Ty Lue every season, like you said, wants to put up with this type of iteration of his team basically changing. Yeah, the whole aspect of his change. I mean, and it happened early enough this season where, okay, you can kind of formulate a plan. But like the James Harden shit happened right before the season started last season. Well, after the season started, I mean. And then, like you said, Russ came in mid-season. So, like, at least you have that going for you where you have an off-season, the rest of this off-season to kind of, like, formulate a plan or whatever. But they haven't dealt him a good hand, in my opinion, at all. Like, that James Harden coming in 5 games to the season, that's just ridiculous. When we all knew it was going to happen. Y'all wait until the season starts. That was just nasty work for your head coach. It's like they did their whole training camp was pretty much moot after James Harden came in. So, I mean, we'll kind of see how Ty Lue kind of deals with it, but it's not a coincidence that the more continuity this team had, which happened last offseason, they had the season like they did. I don't think it's a coincidence, so I don't see how you keep just adding superstars and think it's going to be.
And kept the bill of health. And also, like, Norm Powell had some comments last offseason when Paul George left, and a lot of people took it as like he was kind of taking shots at Paul George, but he could have just been simply, like, look, now, like you mentioned, we're going through a full off season. I know what roster's going to be here. I know we're not adding another guy that's like, obviously Norm Powell's trying to get into his own, and he's been a good player for several years, but he's not Russ. So, like, end of the day, like, it's hard to be like, nah, Russ, like, I mean, we even saw the rumors this season with the Nuggets, like, even whether it's true or not, there was a conversation whether it was, should we play Russ or some of the other young guys? And that's the same thing with James. I mean, obviously James Harden instantly became a starter, but if James Harden were to have come off the bench, like, Norm has to sit there, like a player like Norm has to sit there and kind of figure it out and fit in where he fits in. Yeah. So it's weird. It's funny to see because also because of the stigma about the Clippers that they're like the little brothers in LA, which, given all the talent that they've had, the Lakers have still consistently been better than them throughout the entirety of the time of Paul George, Kawhi, the Kawhi era. It is kind of sad that they are still playing little brother, but it's just weird. It's just it'd be different if I was like if they were in the East. As we've talked about multiple times, like it'd be different if they were in the East and they're, the East is wide open, which is why I was so big on Brad going to Milwaukee. I felt like if he went to Milwaukee, like that's as complete of a team given the offseason that they've had and then you get an opportunity to also kind of be the guy, like a guy with Giannis. Obviously, Giannis be doing that goofy ass comments that he was doing with Dame, where he's like, "It's your team," blah 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 blah. I don't know if he does the same shit for Brad Beal, but that that option is there for you. So I don't know. I don't know. I would have to hear. Obviously it just happened today, and it's not even official. But we'd have to. I'm very interested to hear what he has to say in terms of like his reasoning behind why he chose the Clippers over some of the other teams. Lakers I can understand. Especially with all the stuff going around LeBron. The Milwaukee one is the one that I'm just like, for the Clippers.
I truly think he just didn't want to go to Milwaukee.
which that
Wisconsin. I really truly think that was it. It had to be. Like I don't see any other way. If you talk about basketball, I think that was the cleanest fit. I mean, but even then, I don't know if Miami was in this. But even the team like Miami, like I feel like he should have went there over Clippers, in my opinion. But we don't really know what Miami
was
be doing.
Another team that was said to be interested. The only two teams that I saw like that they gave a little bit further detail was like the Lakers. They had I guess had some conversations with the Lakers, but maybe through his conversations he wasn't necessarily showing as much interest. But it sounded like the Bucks and the Clippers were the two. Basically, it sounded like it was between those two teams, at least from what I've read. Maybe there's more details, out there, obviously, as the hours have gone by. But once again, if it did come down to those two teams,
yeah,
that's tough.
Maybe niggas is not. Maybe folks is really like just not keen to want. Obviously, it's Milwaukee, but also not keen to want to play with Giannis. Maybe that's the case because it's not like even when Dame found out he was going there. I mean, we talked about it. I mean, he basically did a whole 2-year press run of like, I don't want to fucking be here. So like, I don't, to me, if I was an athlete like Dame that had been a strong, or even Brad that had been a strong one for an organization for so many years, and now I get an opportunity to pair with a generational talent that is not a perimeter guy that, we shouldn't clash at least. I'm not going to say we aren't, but we shouldn't clash. I feel like that to me would make the most sense if I was them, but I mean, I'm not, I'm not them. I'm not a millionaire. I'm not a basketball player. So I don't know. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me. I have a feeling that the season's going to go in a way where we're all going to be like, yeah, it probably didn't make sense, Brad.
I mean, just like the Phoenix deal, we knew from the jump that Phoenix shit wasn't gonna work, and we all said it. And sure enough,
and it's funny. It's funny because I did see him. I don't know if it was this week or last week, but I caught a clip of it. But Nick Wright had been kind of doing his like I was right tour about saying that Austin Reeves was a better three than Bradley Beal, and he did get a lot of backlash. Like initially when that conversation happened, when he made that take, whenever that was. But like, I mean, there was never even a moment that it was a question, which is sad. It is like, it's very sad that there was never a moment where anybody that actually watched the game of basketball, not just the names, thought like, yeah, Brad Beal was actually better than Austin Reeves as a third option. Not saying he's not a better player. But as a third option, or at least for that team specifically, because I mean, maybe like if your second option, quote unquote, is like Draymond, who's not a scorer, or maybe just the second person. I don't know if you want to call it option, second person. Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. Well,
he could have went to the Warriors.
The Clippers got a lot of.
He could have went. I don't know. I said he could have went to the Warriors. That would have been better than the Clippers, in my opinion. But whatever.
I mean, it definitely would have helped the Warriors out a lot more because I mean they don't have. I mean, it's Steph and
exactly. It's. Steph, I mean, they got Buddy. They got Buddy. So I guess but.
I mean,
I'll pick Brad over Buddy.
And Buddy's getting up there in age too. I mean, if we talk about folks getting up there in age, like Buddy's getting up there in age. Obviously, he tailed off towards the end of the season. The Warriors are, I mean, same way I felt for the past couple seasons, but they made a desperation trade to get Jimmy Butler last year, and it worked out momentarily, but I'm very interested to see what they look like next year. Regardless of if they make a move or not, like the Jimmy, Steph, Draymond trio.
Fine.
I mean, it could. I mean, maybe. Weren't they the number one defense? Since Jimmy got there. I mean, everybody was talking about how good they were, and there's still people that believe that they would have won that series if Steph didn't get hurt. So, I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe they would have, because the Timberwolves definitely were selling, but I'm interested to see how their off. I mean, we talked about it last week, but the offseason has been a little quiet, and maybe now Brad being like maybe he was the one kind of holding things up for the rest of the team. So maybe we'll start to get some more fireworks over the next couple of weeks. Huh? We'll see. Shams promised us a busy off season, and all we've gotten is KD being moved, which we all knew from February, and Bron rumors.
If that happens though, if that Bron shit happens, then he got it. He called it.
If the Bron shit happens, then he definitely got it. But I mean, it's basically just the most interesting thing about Bron has basically been which reporter is going to contradict the other reporter and basically shoot down the report. That's really been the drama of the whole LeBron situation. Because I mean, basically everything that's come from them has been like, nah, we're just chilling, bro. y'all talking about everything else. We haven't said nothing. So I don't know, but that gives it for the brief touch on basketball. Obviously, like we said, it's been kind of a dry off season in terms of free agency moves and trades and stuff like that outside of Kevin Durant. But switching gears into the NFL, as I mentioned at the top of the show, getting closer and closer. So here we are with another week of our top tens. As we're doing this, it's funny to also see the ESPN.
Ooh, that nasty work.
It's
ESPN
so nasty.
Poll
It's so nasty.
GMs and the front office for high-ranking front office folks dropping their top tens based on how they voted on it. They're coming to a conclusion here. I think tomorrow actually. So we'll see how all their top tens look. But getting into our top tens for interior defensive linemen, we've touched on basically every defensive position at this point. So rounding off with the D linemen. The guys in the trenches. Who you got for us, Chris?
My bad, I was pulling my thing up. But all right, so for my top 10 D linemen, kicking off with Christian Wilkins. I know Cash, you touched on this last year, and then you touched on it the other week. But I mean, he's still a good player in my opinion. I think last year was just a little down year for him, and plus injuries. But with him and Max Crosby, I'm expecting a good year for him. That having a dominant edge rusher on your team can help your defense interior off plenty. So with that being the case, I think he's going to have a good year. Next, I got on the list, I got your boy Shot DeForest Buckner. I mean, you can't really leave him off the list. He's getting up there in age, but that's one player that's always has anchored your defense for years. And you can't really just, block him one-on-one throughout the whole game pretty much. You asking for trouble. Even as he getting older, you still asking for trouble. So he's still a dominant player in the league. So I got him on the list. Next, another older guy, Cam Hayward. Now he's old, but I mean he's still a force. He's a big guy. He's a big guy, and that's an anchor for that defense. And I mean, again, that's go with our theme for the past few weeks as far as the Steelers, their defense. They seem like they got players everywhere. So I mean, they should have the number one defense according to us, but we'll see how that work out. Next, I got Derek Brown. I mean, he unfortunately got injured last year, but that don't change my mind on what I think about him. He's one of the best run stoppers in the league, and he's a good pass rusher. He's playing for a younger, I guess, young-ish defense in the Carolina Panthers, but I'm expecting a big year from him to bounce back from the injury he had last year. Next, I got, I hope I'm saying his name right, Matabuke from the Ravens, the inside D-line for Ravens. But, yeah, another dominant younger defensive tackle playing for a defense that, again, just like the Steelers seem like they're getting weapons upon weapons. So as far as they, at all three levels, they have players at each of them, and that's just going to help each other. Having good players on each level is just going to help each other. I would say pass rush and coverage, go hand in hand in tandem and whatnot. Next, I got Quentin Williams for the New York Jets. Very, very good defensive lineman. He's been solid ever since he stepped in the league. Unfortunately, obviously the Jets they done tailed off a little bit as far as a total defense. But I think with the addition of their defense coordinator Aaron Glenn, I'm hoping that he bounced back from last year and actually show what he can really do for real. Obviously next I got my boy Jalen Carter. Not much I can really say as far as what he does for the Eagles. I mean, he commands the double team for the most part. He allows everybody else to eat, in my opinion. No downplay of Milton Williams, but he's one of the reasons why like somebody like Milton Williams can get the bag, because he was getting double teamed a lot, and Milton Williams was eating all last year. So I'm just hoping that he can start, putting it all together, because that's one thing I feel like for him that he hasn't done as much as like being consistent. He'll have a dominant game here and there. Then sometimes it just seems like he allows the double team to, take over. Sometimes you just gotta figure out he gotta figure that out. Once he figured that out, I think he could be pushing for top 2 in the league. But right now, obviously my top 2 in the league, you got Chris Jones. I can't deny that. Chris Jones, he's a dominant player. He's been dominant for a long time. Arguably the best player on the Chiefs defense. Again, he's one of the reasons why somebody like George Karlaftis get paid. You gotta block him. You gotta block that man on the inside. And George Karlaftis, he did what he's supposed to do. You somebody get a double team, you win your 1-on-1s, and obviously top defense lineman in my opinion, Dexter Lawrence. I mean, that man's a motherfucking monster. Hey, had to play him two times each year, and like we said again, I know it sounds repetitive, but I mean it's just been the theme of this offseason. These defenses have been having people on every level, and for them in particular, their front seven is it's so many people up there that it's like you got to pick your poison. And honestly, he probably still gonna be the main one getting double teamed, but he blocks it, he gets through it, he makes plays all the time. So that's round off my 10.
Okay. Solid,
I like
solid 10, solid 10.
I like it a lot. I like it a lot, actually. A lot of similarities, of course. I'll start from top bottom. Dexter Lawrence, man. I really hope that the Giants offense, and we'll see who they have starting that quarterback over the next couple of weeks when training camp starts. But I really hope the offense can show some type of life that will give that defense, in particular defensive line, chances to show what they can do. He could have a monster season being next to, Abdul Carter and Kayvon Thibodeau. And it's and Brian Burns, of course. And it's easy to kind of like map it out in our heads, but again, like if the Giants offense is not scoring points and they're in situations where all they're doing is defending the run, you can't really show exactly what Dexter Lawrence. I mean, he's still good. He's great against the run too, but you can't really show exactly his whole skill set. So hopefully the offense can keep up to where he's able to kind of dominate in the pass game as well. I got Chris Jones as well coming in second. Not a lot to say there. He's just a staple for that defense. Just an awesome player overall. Of course, he has that flexibility to move around the defensive line too, which you'll kind of see in a lot of these names that I have. A lot of these guys, and depending on, of course, where you're playing 4-3-3-4, a lot of them have that flexibility to move along the line of scrimmage. Jalen Carter comes in next for me. Like you said, Chris, he's still young, so there's still a lot that he has to work on with his game, but you can see the raw talent just show up every single. And now that he has, that experience under his belt that he just gained, he has that chip under his belt, that championship. You can only go up from there. So now, if you're him, it's like, okay, now to make my legacy, and be kind of that Aaron Donald force, type force, for my team. I got Quentin Williams next. Like you said, Chris, is the Jets defense as a whole took a step back, but the individual pieces are still there. They needed some depth, especially along that defensive line. We'll kind of see if that works out this season. But Quentin Williams has always been a staple there. He's a fantastic player. I got Leonard Williams on my list as well. I think he had his best season as a pro last season.
He did.
And definitely deserves some shout outs for that. I mean, he another one of those guys that move along a defensive line. You can put him all around it. He made plays. He had a pick six last season, like just great. Like like he's a hell of an athlete. I got Cam Hayward on my list as well. Like you said, Chris, he's getting up there. But it's still a force. I saw it in game 1 of last season where he just dominated the Falcons O-line along with TJ Watt, of course. And that continued all throughout the season. Like Cam Hayward I don't know when he's going to slow down, if he's going to slow down, but he has to still be on my list. I had Derek Brown as well. Got to respect that. I know he only played one game, part of one game. But the talent is still there. You see what he did in the year before in 23, how dominant he was for that Panthers defense. And hopefully, with the pieces they added around him on that defensive line, especially with the rookies that they have, and you'll kind of see, maybe you'll see him kind of have another kind of breakout year where he's in that top echelon. Because I really think he has the possibility to be that top 4, top 5 interior defensive tackle in the league. He really does. I got Jeffrey Simmons on my list as well. Solid season last season. I think he had like 5 sacks last season. A lot of quarterback pressures. Tennessee needed something, and I know there was some contract disputes, some trade rumors around him and all that. And he still produced, and I think the same kind of thing this season. I got DeForest Buckner as well. He's getting up there in age, like you said, Chris, but still a staple of that defense. Shad, as you know very well. Of course, his absence was felt when he missed those 4 or 5 games, whatever it was, or last season. You can definitely tell he wasn't in the lineup. So got to have him in my top 10 as well. And I have Zach Allen coming in at the end. And again, like, this is more of a projection based off what he gave us. He didn't have a top 10 season. He had a very good season last season though. But I think that Broncos defense as a whole got better. And I definitely think he's one of the top defensive tackles in the game. So I think he has a really good season this season and really becomes more of that household name. And then honorable mentions to Vita Vea and Christian Wilkins. Vita Vea is just like, he don't have the stats as these other guys, but the impact is just as big, if not bigger, for that Tampa Bay defense than a lot of these other guys. So shout out to Vita Vea too.
Yeah, Vita is kind of a hard one just because he's more of a pure nose tackle than he adds the pass rush as well. But I mean, he is a big, strong dude that if they need a good rush, he can give you that as well. He can break through. He can break through double teams, and obviously, they're historically with him in the lineup, Tampa's been very tough to run on as well. But I also didn't have him on my list. But starting with mine, I did add Kobe Turner from the Rams. They got a lot of young D-line talent there. One thing that I was he was probably one of the ones that I was a little bit on the fence on. Obviously had a really good rookie season, had a really good season last year as well. He offers pass rush ability as well as run stopping ability. But, there's a lot of people I feel like that are very, very high on the Rams, which, obviously they did go toe-to-toe with the Eagles and had a chance of possibly winning that game until they sold it. And, speaking of Jalen Carter, a guy that, kind of, had his way. But, they don't necessarily, I understand that they have Puka and Devontae Adams, Matt Stafford and whatnot, but it's us. Their D-line is very young and it could not, we always assume when a team or a player is good one year, what did Nolan Smith say that, what's the word I'm looking for? Potential is linear, where it's just going up, as you get better, it just keeps going up, as opposed to this. I could see the Rams, especially given some of what the rest of their team, their defense looks like, and that back seven, I could see them kind of struggling a little bit. So Kobe Turner was on my list, but he was one of the ones that I was on the fence of. I also had Jeffrey Simmons on my list as well. Since he came into the league, he was a guy that came into the league with an injury. I want to say it was either his Achilles or his ACL when he was drafted. As soon as he got in the lineup, I mean, he's been dominant, nasty. was one of the anchors on that Mike Vrabel defense for a lot of years. Obviously, they've been going through a transitionary period over the past couple of years, but I do think that, with new life, the Titans defense was pretty stout to start the season. Obviously, as injuries started to hit, and the ineptitude at quarterback between Will Levis and then switching between him and Mason Rudolph, their whole team kind of started to crater and go downhill from there. But Jeff Simmons was a big part of that, and I think with T'Vondre Sweat being there having a second season, he will also aid in kind of freeing some things up for Jeffrey Simmons. They did lose Harold Landry, so that will be, obviously he wasn't necessarily dominant, always healthy and stuff like that, but that is an edge rusher that helps as well. So we'll see how that transitionary period is for them. I had Kenny Clark on mine. Another guy that's been a dominant player for the Green Bay Packers. And I think that this year they can, with a good bill of health, obviously with losing Jair, they've been piling up talent, especially on the D line in the linebacker room. Obviously they brought in Bullard and Evan Williams as well as Xavier McKinney last year in the safety position. So they have been stockpiling talent. Kenny Clark has been a very good player for them over the past few seasons. And I think that hopefully this year, Van Ness takes another step, and then that kind of just completes the defense, and he takes full advantage of that. So I also had Derek Brown on my list. Dominant player. I want to say he had last year he had 100 tackles, which is damn near unheard of for a defensive lineman, especially a D tackle. Dominant run stopper. Obviously a pretty good pass rusher as well. I think hopefully, once again, we obviously have to see with the rookies and what they'll do. But I think the Panthers are on the right path in terms of progression. So I think that him, especially the way their season started at the beginning of the season, him missing that really the whole season, but getting hurt in the first game, especially in that first couple of weeks, I think that really, really hurt a lot of the things that they wanted to do. And obviously he was their not only, but he was their only guy last year on defense. And then, some of their other guys, like their prized possession, or like Jadavian Clowney, he came into the season hurt. So stuff like that, it just didn't work out for them defensively. But I think that he has a bounce back season. I also had Chris Jones on my list in my top 10. Not as dominant as a season as he had a couple seasons ago. And, once Aaron Donald was looking like he was about to retire, it kind of looked like, Chris Jones had kind of okay, now it's my turn to be the top guy. And he kind of took it and ran. Obviously he had a dominant postseason run 2 seasons ago. This season he was still very good. Obviously didn't put up the same amount of numbers, didn't have the same effect in the playoffs like he did a couple seasons ago, where it seemed like every defensive play was made big time defensive play was made by Chris Jones. But 3 straight Super Bowls, or going to 3 straight Super Bowls, 4 out of the last 5 Super Bowls. I mean, he's got a lot of wear and tear, so I think it's okay for him to not have been as dominant towards the end of the season last year, but still very good. Also got Jalen Carter, Georgia boy, been dominant in college, been dominant since the moment that he touched it, obviously going to the Eagles, which he should have never been there in the first place, but that's neither here nor there. But yes, Jalen Carter is on my list. I also had DeForest Buckner, as Cass mentioned, missed a few games last season. Still, even though with the missed games, he was tied for first in pass rush win rate for defensive tackles, so still very dominant pass rusher. Still very dominant in the run game as well. It helps that he has an elite nose tackle in Grover Stewart. As long as he stays healthy, that's right there as well to help out. Zach Allen, another guy on my list, top 10. Baby J.J. Watt. Cass was a little too modest. He has been one of the most dominant defensive tackles in the league over the past few seasons. Last year, he was very much in the Defensive Player of the Year race to start the season, and then it kind of tailed off towards the end of the season as the statistics didn't build his statistics didn't look like his, and he probably got hurt by 2 other of his teammates. One obviously winning the Defensive Player of the Year, and another in Nick Benito being, right
in the race too. Yeah.
In the race for a while. But Zach Allen, very, very dominant player, both both as a run stopper and as a and as a pass rusher. Also, just one of the purely most underrated players just in the league as a whole. You probably say Zach Allen, and most people don't even know who he is, what team he plays for.
Exactly.
But both with Arizona in his last couple seasons, and I got to learn from J.J. Watt as well, and then with the Broncos over this past season. Very, 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 very good player.
Versatile too.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, as you mentioned, at 3-4, been able to move all along the line, inside, outside. Like I said, baby JJ Watt, he's a great player. But then in my last two, got Quinnen Williams, of course. Been a dominant player with the Jets. A funny guy. Obviously, we've seen the clips of him.
Bless you. Thank you.
Bless you. Thank you. Gets to play with his brother, who's been a guy that's been playing lights out of the linebacker position. It seems, as Chris mentioned, with Aaron Glenn coming in there, and not to say that Robert Saleh was maybe the culture was bad or anything like that, but obviously when you bring in Aaron Rodgers and things don't go the way that it's supposed to go to between the injuries and then the season that they had last year, it just kind of, culture's a buzzword that we like to use, but it's rooted in winning. If you're not winning, the culture's shitty. If you are winning, the culture's phenomenal. But, it is what it is. But I do think, obviously, we saw and not something that we touched on today, but the Jets signed Sauce Gardner, signed Garrett Wilson. You would assume that is a good sign for how they feel about things and where they're going, because they could have waited another year and maybe try to play the free agency route or try to force their hand with the trade or anything like that. But yes, Quinnen Williams, dominant player, continues to be one. And then obviously Dexter Lawrence, not too often that you find a nose tackle, because we're using the general frame, term interior D lineman, but most of the guys, that we're talking about are D tackles, not necessarily nose tackle. So not very often do you find a nose tackle that's dominant, very dominant in the run game, but definitely dominant in the pass game. And then obviously we've talked about the Giants too much probably at this point, way too much probably at this point, given the fact that they very much can be like a 5-win team, and we've been like praising them over the past few weeks. But the D line looks like it's going to be nasty. Obviously, they still got a really good linebacker, Bobby Okereke, and the DBs they rebuilt, drafted a couple last year. Obviously, brought in some prize free agents this year. So you think the defense is going to be good. Dexter Lawrence is going to be a huge part of that. So he rounds out my list, and I think that he's going to have a phenomenal season. But if the Giants are good, if the Giants are good, the Eagles got an insane start to their season, boy. An insane start to their season. So you better hope they're not, Chris, because
It is what it is, man.
I'm just saying, that first, you go Cowboys, Chiefs, Rams, Bucks, Broncos, Giants, Vikings, Giants.
Gauntlet, huh?
It might be.
Wait, what? Say that again. Say that again one more time.
Cowboys.
Uh-huh.
Cowboys week 1, Chiefs week 2, then the Rams, then the Bucks, then the Broncos, then the Giants, then the Vikings, then the Giants again, and then they go on bye. And then when they come off bye, they got the Packers, Lions, Cowboys, Bears, Chargers.
Man, it sounds like a lot of ass to me.
Okay.
Sound like a lot of ass to me.
If the Giants are good, because that first one is at the Giants too. Okay, I see it. If the Giants are good, that's tough. It's a tough schedule overall, but I mean the Eagles are a really good team. So, but the close also with Washington, Buffalo, Washington.
We gonna see.
We gonna get to it.
We done, bruh. We done been
right
through
now.
shit like this before, bruh. It be like that, man.
Everything sounds good now. I was talking to some folks last week. Oh, everything sounds good now. Oh yeah, XYZ gonna have a good season. We're gonna be really good this season. Then that first week of training camp hit. About the third day, you like, damn, who got hurt? Who got carted off? Oh, bruh.
Hey, that card off
You mean-
shit nasty.
That card
You be
off
like,
crazy, boy.
Or they be like, or they say something like ominous, like XYZ didn't finish the practice, but they don't say nothing else. They just be like,
Yeah.
oh, XYZ left practice, the last 2 plays of practice or something. Then you'll see nothing about it for like 48 hours, and it's like XYZ towards ACL. I mean, like, bro, come on, bro. Like, what's up, bro?
Yeah,
Like, come on,
it
bro.
is,
What's
though.
going on? So everything sounds good right now. But, once that training camp, the first couple weeks of training camp hits and they actually, start hitting, start taking them bumps and bruises that they might not have been fully healed from the off season, we'll definitely have probably a different perspective. But we'll see once we get into our in season preview in a few weeks. We'll see then.
Yeah.
But like I said, Eagles, that schedule look crazy. But with that being said, man, that gives us another wrap for Speak Up Sports Podcast. We will catch you guys next week as we get into our offensive top 10s. We'll see you then.
Yes, sir. Hey, hold up, Ham.